Susan Story, shares of American Water are up about 30% year to date. Now, this is fairly surprising considering you're a utility. Is it surprising to you, or do you think this is just a whole lot of hot money that could leave equally as quickly?
Well, I'm not at all surprised, Greg, because number one, we've been in a more risk-off environment, which benefits the entire utility space. But even more than that, in the water utility space, it's a more scarce. There's not as many companies. And as the largest water utility in the nation, one with our own R&D staff, one who has excelled in water quality, as well as having a low beta, 7 to 10% EPS growth guidance, as well as a dividend yield of around 2%, we're a safe bet and one that people are drawn to.
All right, and last week you beat the street in your second quarter by a nickel. So what was the main driver for you, in your opinion? Was it the regulated business, the market-based business? What was driving it?
The regulated business is the meat and potatoes of our business. 90% of our net income comes from our regulated business. And we basically delivered and we executed. We are in a multi-year program of capital investment for pipes, pumps, and plants. We're replacing that infrastructure you hear so much about that's aging. Our market-based business also had a good quarter, however.
And you're growing by acquisitions as well. You're searching for wastewater. So tell me about where you're picking up some wastewater plants.
Absolutely. So we look at one water, whether it's drinking water, wastewater, the entire water cycle. Most of our customers are water. So what we're looking at is who is serving the wastewater? Where can we go and buy distress systems so that those municipalities can concentrate on the other critical services that they provide for their citizens?
Well, we keep hearing about crumbling infrastructure from the presidential candidates. How crumbling is it? What's your view? Do you take it personally?
I take it very personally, but I will give you more third-party objective data. The Environmental Protection Agency says we need about $700 billion by the next 20 years just to keep the system functioning the way it is today. The American Society of Civil Engineers says we need $1 trillion. We know that every year we lose 2 trillion gallons of treated water just because our infrastructure is crumbling. We can't afford to do it, and with water supply challenges, we shouldn't be losing that much water.
Can you talk about regulations post the Flint water tragedy? Do you feel that they've increased? And what does this mean for your business?
Well, first of all, we are very supportive of continuing stringency in water quality standards. The fact of the matter is, 2 months before the Flint situation hit the papers, there was a 2-year working group that the EPA had put together that was recommending more stringent water standards for lead and copper. We actually had representation on that committee and we were fully supportive of that. We're in compliance with all lead rules. We look at not just where our customers have lead service lines, but how we treat the water to make sure there's no corrosion so that there's not lead levels that are above what the EPA says they should be.
We are also worried about terrorism affecting our water supply here in the U.S. We've been hearing about that on the campaign trail. So can you talk about the vulnerability of our water system with regard to terrorism?
We should always be a little bit paranoid about water contamination. So let me just say up front, we're constantly monitoring our sources. Unlike the electric grid that is very interconnected between regions, water's very local. That's a benefit. Number two is when we look at our systems, our customer systems, our internet-facing systems, the systems we use to run our plants are not connected to those systems. We have layers of security between them so that if we have to and we find that there's an incident in one area, we can disconnect all other systems and run them separately.
All right, and then finally, Jim Cramer said on TV the other day that people today would rather pay their Wi-Fi bill ahead of their water bill. What's your response?
People believe that until they no longer have water.
All right, thank you, Susan Story.
Thank you, Greg.
And thank you for watching The Street.